Coming up next on The Voice of Alabama Politics, Rogers for Senate. Also, the V team takes a look at a gas tax swindle. And the Poarch Creeks get some unwanted attention.
You know what? I'm happy.
Yes, Mr. President, I understand. I'm happy too. All this and much, much more coming up next on The V. Welcome to The Voice of Alabama Politics, where we tackle the tough issues so you have the hard facts. I'm your host, Bill Britt, and as always, I'm joined by the V team. Welcome all.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi.
It's Chipper's last show for a while, right?
It is.
You're
He's
off to
gonna be
Columbia.
off to Columbia. He's going to be off to, Slade.
Yeah, so he's busy. He's
Busy
busy,
boy.
busy.
Don't forget the little
Don't
people
wanna
that
leave.
helped you get there.
Well, we don't want you to leave, but we're sad to see you go. I mean, yeah.
We're happy for where you're going. We're not happy that you're going.
Beth, I think right now we can say that any hopes of having a lottery or anything like it are dead thanks to the Poarch Band of Creek Indians. They do not want anyone but them to have gaming in the state. And while they said they supported this moronic lottery, even that's going to die.
Right. I mean, I'd rather have no lottery than a bad lottery. Let's take some time to get it right because this is something we have to do right. But the fact is our general fund budget still has to be passed this year without any lottery money coming in, and the gas tax isn't going to do it all. So I hope the legislature gets it together and quits doing what Poarch Creek needs and starts doing what their districts need.
I agree. And Susan, one of the things we've been able to report, and this has been reported several times, but we've added to it. According to reliable sources, the Poarch Creek Indians are under multiple investigations. I mean, the federal government has been down there on tribal lands investigating. There's some lawsuits that are out there. I mean, there's been accusations of rape. There's been accusations of people getting injured. There's been accusations of misuse of money. And now we understand that the Trump administration is keeping an eye on the Poarch Creek because of their interference in the lottery bill down here.
Basically what they were doing, now we had not only the lottery bill, but there were two constitutional amendments, one for Greene County and one for Macon County, that they didn't want either. So not only did they kill the lottery bill, they also killed those two CAs as well by going to each legislator that they gave money to and reminding them, hey, we gave you money here. So, this is part of what they're looking into.
I mean, are we really? Are we surprised?
No.
I mean, you sit around and you wait on a big bill to come along and something sketchy happens. And if you sit there long enough, you wait a month or two, there's going to be an investigation.
Yeah.
It is Alabama.
Surprising.
Well, and I think one of the more interesting things that I find is that, the Poarch Creek were sued over the Wetumpka Casino. And the reason they were sued, Chip, is because that was Muskogee land, not Poarch Creek land. And when they started building the casino, they were building it on top of Indian graves. Native Americans were buried there, and they didn't care.
I mean, I guess just, plow over your ancestors so you can build your casino.
Well, it wasn't their ancestors, it was Muskogee ancestors.
Yeah.
Exactly. Muskogee are Creek, but they're still
Creek
different.
Indians, and that was the thing, is that, I mean, you should know, even if it's not your tribe,
Still something that's sacred.
that is still something that's
They had to be sued to move the graves. They weren't even going to move them. They were going to build on top of them.
I'm sorry.
Sounds like something out of a Scooby-Doo show.
But how terrible do you have to be to build a casino on top of your grandparents or your great-grandparents or somebody else's loved one? I mean, it's just outrageous. And that's the real Poarch Creek Indians. It is not the good neighbors that people talk about. It's the kind of people that disrespect their own people and their own heritage.
Yeah, and let's talk about that a little bit, because I don't think it's just that one thing happened or just that this one thing. It's a combination of all the things that go into it with the Poarch Band of Creek Indians. I mean, it's their, over-involvement in the legislature. It's their disregard for everybody else when it comes to their profits.
That's right.
And it's them, trying to claim tribal immunity on things that are blatantly would be investigated, like the accidents and the rapes and all of that, and that they're trying to claim they've got immunity to any of that, and that's just not right.
And I want to go back to something you brought up, and that's the fact that they're killing competition. They do not want competition. I mean, Bob Riley's bingo wars gave them a monopoly over gaming in this state. Now, Bob Riley is long gone. Crazy people are long gone that have been trying to shut bingo halls down that actually were legal. I mean, Victoryland in Macon County, Green Track in Green County were all considered legal until Bob Riley decided they were not, Beth.
Right.
And now lawmakers from those counties are trying to get another constitutional amendment that just allows them to do what they did for 10 years legally. And the Poarch Creek has stopped that.
Right. Well, I think part of it is that what's going on in Macon County and what's going on in Greene County are on very similar legal footing in terms of their justification for operating. But
Well, they have a constitutional amendment.
right, but like in terms of like the legal argument for keeping Macon County up and running is the same as Greene County. But Macon County is a lot closer to Poarch Creek's money.
Yep.
And so they don't care about either of these properties, because if you get Macon, then you're interfering with Wetumpka.
Well, and they were nothing compared to what was in Macon County. And again, Chip, they pay no taxes. They contribute nothing to the welfare of the state. But everyone wants to say, oh, they're so great, they're so wonderful. I don't think that's great and wonderful.
And I mean, they are their own sovereign entity, and they deserve that. But the question is when they try to get involved with what Alabama does as a state in terms of allowing Green Track and Victoryland to operate, that's when things get tricky, and that's why
and
we care about this.
We got less than a minute, but I want to point out again that the Republicans in Alabama claim to be the most pro-Donald Trump in the nation, and yet Donald Trump 30 years ago sat before Congress and said, you, the Democrats, were giving the people like the Poarch Creek, tribes like the Poarch Creek, an unfair advantage over businesses. And that's exactly what the Republicans are doing, Susan.
Because they're taking Poarch Creek money left and right. That's something they wouldn't have touched 8 years ago. Now they're taking it, just come on, haul it on in, guys, haul it on in, and we'll do whatever you want as long as you give us money. To heck with the state of Alabama. To heck with the state.
Yeah, and from what we could tell, those constitutional amendments were probably going to pass until Poarch Creek.
They were. They had the votes.
They had the vote. Because you know what? People have realized that they've been conned all these years by Bob Riley and by Mike Hubbard and that ilk. We're going to have to leave it right there. You're watching the voice of Alabama politics. They've already broken their promise to you about the gas tax. Coming up next.
What a great opportunity for your success. Adding 500,000 highly skilled employees to our workforce by 2025 is how we stay ahead in Alabama. Our economy is stronger than it's been in years, and a skilled workforce is more important than ever. Things move fast, so choose your path. Your success is waiting, plus a great future for Alabama. Success Plus. Go for it.
The Energy Institute of Alabama promotes reliable, affordable, and clean energy to help grow our economy, create high-paying jobs, and build public support for Alabama's energy industry. The Energy Institute of Alabama is the best source of energy industry information and how it affects households across the state, from convenient energy production to alternative fuels to solar power and beyond.
What are you doing today, babe?
I thought I'd head down to the lake with the guys, do a little fishing. Of course, none of us will be wearing our seatbelts. I'll lose control of the truck. wrap it around a tree, and kill us all.
Okay.
Drive safe, Alabama. A message from your Alabama Department of Transportation.
Welcome back to The V, the voice of Alabama politics. Beth, the DNC back in February told Nancy Worley, chair of the Democratic Party here in Alabama, and Joe Reed, and the whole bunch, they need to get their act together on these elections. They didn't.
This picture makes me laugh every time I see it. I can see it over your shoulder. They didn't. Well, so there was a challenge against the election for Chairwoman Worley and First Vice Chair Randy Kelly with the DNC, and the DNC actually came in this time and said, no, you have to hold new elections, because there was issues with like certain people weren't signed in, and like they didn't have the accurate vote totals, and just a couple of irregularities. So they're making them hold completely new elections. But first, they have to figure out the diversity plan, which is what we're waiting on now. So they had originally said we were going to have May 4th elections. May 4th has come and gone. So now the issue is that with the way the party is structured right now, we elect a male and a female from each House district. And then Dr. Reed has appointment powers to bring the black population of the SDEC up to that of the last presidential primary for the Democrats. So he gets to appoint a huge number of people.
So in other words, he gets to appoint his own voting bloc.
Right, but there's not the same provisions for the Hispanic community, for Asian Pacific Islanders, for Native Americans, for LGBTQ, youth, disabilities, a range of other demographic groups that we should be reaching out to. And that's what the DNC is trying to fix now.
So Susan, help me right here. So you got Hispanics, Islanders, LGBTQ, other things. No wonder the Republicans are winning. They only have to have white men and a couple of women.
You're absolutely right about that.
They can do the math real simple. I got lost.
Yeah. Well, and they have, they've got minority outreach programs going on there. And I mean, they seem to be doing better than the Democrats are. So maybe we should take a page out of the Republicans' book and start organizing.
Well,
and getting one purpose, getting one direction.
I think the thing here that we see is that the reason Republicans are in control is not that they have better ideas than the Democrat. There's no.
They have terrible ideas.
They have terrible ideas sometimes, not all the time. But is that they're organized and the Democrats are disorganized.
Yeah, so let's think about it. They have Terry Lathan and the Democrats have Nancy Worley. And if you know anything, you know that Terry Lathan knows what's going on.
Yeah.
And she knows how things work.
And she knows how to get people motivated.
Yes, and they spend money appropriately, maybe not appropriately, but effectively to get their message across and to get their candidates out there. And they actually, support their candidates instead of all the infighting that's going on with the Democrats all the time. And we're not going to get anywhere in Alabama. You can talk about, being a Republican or being a Democrat, but it's not good for anybody to be a one-party state.
You're absolutely right.
Not good. It's like with the lottery discussion.
Mm-hmm.
If there's not competition, it's not going to work.
That's right. And really, this is should be, politics at its best, should be a competition of ideas. Mm-hmm. And the best legislation is the legislation that's compromised and nobody gets everything they want.
And that they have discussions on, unlike what happened this last week.
Well, we don't discuss a whole lot down here, and when we do, it's kabuki theater.
It's very one-sided.
Representative John Rogers out of Jefferson County, said some things that people found offensive. Some people thought were crazy. Actually, if you know John Rogers, he's said outlandish things all his career. Mm-hmm. And I think what he was saying and what I heard was not just the craziness, because I know John, I've listened to him, and what he means is if you're going to be pro-life, be pro-all life. In other words, from womb to tomb. And so he made some statements. But Beth, he's turned all this national attention into a run against Doug Jones for the primary Doug Jones for the U.S. Senate.
Lord, well, I guess since we don't have Representative Holmes in there anymore, the outrageous comments, now it's going to be John Rogers doing it.
Yeah.
But, If he wants to run, more power to him. I hope he runs a good campaign. I don't see him being able to beat Doug Jones. And it's been, Nancy and Joe have sworn up and down that they're going to primary Doug because they don't like that he controls part of the state now and that the DNC doesn't have to go through them if they want something in Alabama. They can go through Senator Jones. But I don't know that John Rogers is going to be the person to beat him.
I don't know that he's actually going to run.
I think he's just running he's riding the publicity wave now. And I mean, what he said actually got people's attention, which is a good thing.
Yeah. Well, it started some conversations, good, bad, and very ugly. I tell you what, Jeff Sessions signaled this last week that he's actually looking at running for U.S. Senate. And I think if he gets in, it's game over.
That would be a nail in Doug Jones's coffin.
Yeah, that wipes the floor of everybody.
Yeah, I don't think
all the Republicans running, it just wipes the slate clean.
I think that's kind of it. We got a little less than 2 minutes here. I wanted to just bring this up. Governor Kay Ivey is backing a bill by Senator Dale Marsh to remove the elected officials on the Board of Education, want to do away with anybody being elected on the board. And they want to give the governor the power to appoint the Board of Education.
This is a bad idea. Anybody who knows anything about appointments,
bad ideas.
knows that this is a bad idea because what you're going to do is actually have the governor's office controlling the Board of Education, which is not the way we're set up now. I think it's a terrible idea because, if she appoints them, they're beholden to whatever she wants or the next governor wants, and who knows who the next governor is going to be.
Right. Well, and there are only 6 states out of the 50 states, my understanding, that still have elected boards of education. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad idea, and I don't.
Yeah, I mean, let's think about some of the other, commissions and committees and task forces and things that have been appointed by the governor and approved by the Senate that haven't gone over too well. Ethics Commission.
Well, I think this also comes down to if we had an electorate here in Alabama that would actually look at the candidates and look at their ideas and then vote accordingly, then having an elected school board wouldn't be the worst thing, because what I don't want is for it to become sweetheart positions for the governor's friends.
Yeah, and
exactly what
the thing I worry about is we keep giving more power to what I call an imperial governorship, and that the governor has so much power because of appointment that it changes the shape. And while you may like the appointments that Governor Kay Ivey makes, you may not like the appointments that Governor Zig Ziglar might make.
Oh, Lord.
Or something like that.
Well, I mean, you got to think you got to think past the first ripple.
Well, anyway, we're going to have to leave it right there. You're watching The V, the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back.
You've always dreamed of owning a home and investing in your community, but where do you start? Ask a local realtor about Alabama's new first-time homebuyer savings account. If you're looking to buy your first home or are re-entering the market after 10 years, contact your realtor to learn how to set up a tax-free savings account at any Alabama financial institution. Savings of up to $50,000 can be used as your down payment or towards closing costs. The first step on the road to home ownership. Let us help you get there.
Hey man, what are you doing today?
Playing the game. Thought I'd go out for a drive later maybe. Text some friends while I'm doing it. Scroll through social media. Kill a family 4 and a head on collision.
Cool, man.
Drive safe, Alabama. A message from your Alabama Department of Transportation.
A lot can change in 5 years. Except those smile lines you treated with Bellafill. Because that's about how long Bellafill will keep them smooth and filled. 5 years. Now you can always look your best without all those injections, appointments, and costs. Bellafill is the only dermal filler that stimulates and maintains collagen growth long term. Now time is on your side.
welcome back to the V, the voice of Alabama politics. Susan, it did not take them long to break their promises. They told us that all the money from the gas tax would go to only roads, bridges, and the Port of Mobile. The only reason it went to the Port of Mobile was because the federal government was going to give us a 75% match on that. So now Senator Arthur Orr introduces a bill. He's from Decatur, by the way.
Yeah, not Mobile.
He introduces a bill that would divert gas tax increase money to Decatur to refurbish their marina under this inland dredging thing. Now, the only reason you need to dredge the marina in Decatur is why?
Is so you can get the big yachts in there.
Yeah.
Now,
Who has a yacht in Decatur?
The Cooks. He works for Cooks Pest Control, and the owners of Cooks Pest Control have big boats.
yachts that they can get in there. And let's
And
not
Arthur Orr is their
corporate attorney.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Quid pro quo, Clarice.
but you gotta break this down too. I mean, they haven't even enacted the gas tax yet, and they're already trying to spend the money. All right, yeah, he wants to get yachts in. When we're talking about the Port of Mobile, we're talking about increasing commerce in Alabama, increasing docking fees, increasing, the lowering the rates for, car parts and this and that and the other. We're not talking about having, fun out on the lake that runs through Decatur.
Don't you know that parking those mega yachts in Decatur is important to the economy?
Yeah, they buy a lot of stuff at the Decatur Walmart when they get there.
I knew I was missing something.
Is there no one in the governor's office that's watching the bills down here? Because
they're probably giving them a yacht to send them up to Decatur.
Kay Ivey doesn't want a yacht.
It's not just the governor. We're talking about legislators that are approving this.
Yeah, well, the senators,
they're voting for it.
The senators already approved it. It's now gone to the House.
I wouldn't be surprised if this was the first of several bills like this. They had to do, I am sure that they had to do some, we'll give you a little bit of here, a little bit of there, if you approve this gas tax.
But what's the stat on how many bridges in Alabama a school bus has to go around because it's not safe for the school?
You can't talk to a bus driver in the state that doesn't know of at least one.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. It's like, so we're worrying about the yachts up in Decatur while children are on school buses with usually no air conditioning in the summer trying to get to and this is ridiculous. This is conservative.
This is the kind of thing that is the type of illegal corruption that permeates the state. I mean, if the governor should come out and say none of this money, which she basically has, will go to anything but roads and bridges and the port.
It's in the bill. It's in the bill that they passed.
It was in there.
Yeah.
And that was what they promised the whole time, was that that's all it was going to go to.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We're going to take care of it. It's just going to go to roads and bridges. Nothing else.
The Republican senators and some Democrats said to hooey with our promise to the people of Alabama. It passed on majority vote by the Republicans, and somebody should hold them accountable. I don't know if there are any Republicans that will hold Republicans accountable.
I tell you what, if people start calling the State House,
maybe.
might get somebody's attention.
They just take
the Port of Mobile was a hard sell, and there had to be a lot of convincing to get some of the Republicans to back that aspect of the bill, and the fact that this passed without anybody saying anything.
Right. And listen, groups that back this, whether it's BCA or Alpha or Manufacturer Alabama, they should be their lobbyists should be on the phone with these senators, and that's already passed the Senate, on House members and go, you are making us out to be liars because we told the public that we would not raid this fund. And yet, here they are. I believe BCA, I believe Manufacturer Alabama, I believe the people that were behind this bill are better than this.
Right.
Wasn't it just last week that we were talking about money that was supposed to go to children's health care that was
getting into the slush fund? Into the slush fund.
And guess who diverted it to the slush fund?
That's what I was wondering.
Arthur Orr. Oh, well, you can't trust these people. I was talking to Brandon Mosley, who covers the State House for us, does a great job. And Brandon goes, well, Bill, what do you think is the most significant accomplishment of the
are the only accomplishments.
The legislators this year. And I said, well, the gas tax. He goes, no, that was in special session. He said, they haven't passed a budget. They haven't passed the lottery. They haven't passed the abortion bill yet. They haven't passed a lot of things.
Failed the gun bill.
Failed the gun bill. He said the one thing that they have accomplished, and it is their marquee piece of legislation, is that it is now legal to hunt hogs and deer over bait.
Except for that's not hunting, it's waiting. I don't get it. Like, okay, great. That's going to really affect the average house.
What animal is not going to show up? I mean, you got dogs, you got cats. You put food on a bowl in the kitchen floor, they're going to show up.
Why don't you just put poison in the food at that point?
Yeah, well, you can't poison. That's illegal. You got to shoot them.
At least with an arrow or a shotgun or a rifle.
Well, I mean, take your...
It is ridiculous.
AR-15 out there, that's hunting.
It's not hunting.
You're not going to hunt a deer with an AR, Bill. Good grief. What are you going to do?
How many hunters do you know?
I mean, anyway. You can get hogs with them.
But I mean, think about that, and we're going to have to move on. But that's the single most bill
that single-handedly assures their reelection.
Yes, absolutely.
That's there you go.
Well, Senator Richard Shelby turned 85 this week.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, some people think he's a treasure. I happen to agree. He's done a lot for our state, probably more than any senator that we've ever had, and he's the longest serving. But he turned 85. Man, he's going like a guy that's 65 or less.
I couldn't keep up with him. Whew.
Also this week, we lost Jefferson County Commissioner and former legislator Chris McNair. He was 93 years old. His daughter was one of those people, those 4 children killed in the bombing there at 6th Street Avenue Church. Okay. You've been watching the voice of Alabama politics. You watch us because we watch them.